The most underrated quarterback in the NFL is easily, by far, Baker Mayfield. For some reason, I don't know if it's because Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson were in the same draft class and they're seen as better than Baker. I'm not sure if it's because he's on his third NFL team, fourth NFL team. I don't know why, but Baker Mayfield is not classified as the great quarterback that he is. Currently, he's the most underpaid, underappreciated, and yes, underrated quarterback in football. Before I break down why Baker Mayfield is the most underrated quarterback in the NFL today, spike the like button. Let me know in the comments if you want me to break down a similar topic. I'm always open to ideas. Let's go, jabronis. Baker Mayfield, last season, was not only a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but I think it's kind of hard to say that he wasn't a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And the stats will back me up on this. Baker was third in passing yards, second in passing touchdowns, third in completions, third in completion percentage, third in first downs, and fourth in passer rating. For some reason, Baker Mayfield did not get the recognition of MVP that he should have. When you're looking back at the 2024 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, would anyone say that they had a good defense? Would anyone say that this wasn't an offensive-driven team? I really feel like maybe the NFC South just gets completely overlooked, but Baker Mayfield should have been in the top 5 for MVP voting. He should have been right there alongside names like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, because Baker Mayfield was one of the best quarterbacks in football last year. No matter the metric, we can continue to go. 7th in yards per attempt, which is not my favorite stat, but I wanted to throw it in there. 2nd in touchdown percentage. 8th in scrambles, which is a stat I wanted to specifically include because Baker Mayfield is only seen as a pocket passer, but he's actually one of the savviest scramblers in football. He extends plays. He makes things happen on third down with his legs. And he is fearless and tough as they come. 6th in PFF grade, 5th in EPA, 4th in success rate. Baker Mayfield, no matter how you slice it, was an elite player last season. He was 3rd in non-play action first downs and passer rating. And I bring that specifically up because when you're talking about the best quarterbacks in football, it's about what they can do without the gimmicks. And I understand that the Bucs were very, very good in the screen game last year. They were very good off of play action. But even when you strip that away, being a top 3 quarterback in drop back passes and drop back pass ability due to passer rating and first downs, that speaks to Baker Mayfield's evolution of his game. In Cleveland, he was very much reliant on play action, right? In Cleveland, it felt like he was more of the system product, right? Than he is the guy that he has become. Back-to-back Pro Bowler in Tampa Bay. But the thing is, Baker is underappreciated, I think, because some people don't like him really as a personality, which I think is false narrative because I think he's one of the best leaders in football. I don't think just anybody could take over for Tom effing Brady and go to the playoffs 2 years in a row and win a playoff game in 2023 and nearly win another game in 2024, where he actually has played phenomenal football in the playoffs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. More on that in a little bit. But this Baker Mayfield has been good the last 2 seasons. If you're thinking, oh, Mitch, he's only had one good year. Like 2024 was his only good season. That's not even true, guys. Like, that's not true. 2023 last year, not as good as 2024 where we saw it, right? 2nd in touchdowns, 3rd in yards, 3rd in completions. He was a top 5 statistical quarterback last season without debate. Last year in 2023, top 10 quarterback in a variety of metrics: yards, touchdowns, completions, first downs, right? Just slightly outside in terms of passer rating, and the lone exception being completion percentage. Baker Mayfield is simply a baller. There are some stats from last year that will back up what I'm claiming here in terms of Baker Mayfield being the most underrated player in the NFL, or the most underrated quarterback. But when you're the most underrated quarterback, it is arguably that you are the most underrated player. Now, when it comes to Baker Mayfield too, these PFF grades, I think a couple things stand out to me. Is 2024 was the best season of his career, as we would think. But then he had 2 really good seasons in Cleveland. So he's been able to do it in multiple locations, in multiple systems, under multiple coordinators. Guys, remember, he lost Dave Canales, an NFL head coach in 2023, who went on to elevate Bryce Young in Carolina. Like, that's what ended up happening in Carolina eventually. He elevated Bryce Young. So he, in 2023, lost his coordinator, and then he gave another coordinator a head coaching gig in Liam Cohen. Like, don't forget it. 6th in PFF grade in 2024, where he got even better. 2018 was Stefanski, 2020 was Stefanski, right? Or 2018, I'm not sure if that was with Stefanski, but 2020 was with Stefanski, okay? And he's done it in multiple places. He almost won the Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2018. He was 2nd in Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2018. He was actually the best rookie quarterback of his class, which included Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, and even Josh Rosen. But, you know, that was a highly touted class, and it's one of the best we've seen. And he was the best quarterback that year among that class, right? 2nd in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. He's won a playoff game in 2 different locations on 2 different teams. 2020, he won a playoff game in Cleveland. In Cleveland. Nobody does that. Nobody has done that since, and I don't recall the last time they did it before Baker Mayfield. So he deserves his love and appreciation. As much as we want to say, hey, Stefanski has gotten some good stuff out of Kirk Cousins and Joe Flacco and some other quarterbacks, hey, Baker's the only one that won a damn playoff game in Cleveland in forever, okay? And then he, right after Tampa in 2022, had a bad season for Brady's standards. They kind of fell apart from an identity standpoint. I think a lot of it had to do with coaching, but they flipped it around, and Baker was able to win a playoff game after Tom was not able to do that in 2022. So that speaks volumes as well. Right? So he had the rough part of his career, 2021 and 2022. Right? He had down seasons. There's no debate. You look at the grading, there's no debate. But every other season of his career, according to PFF, he's been a top 20 quarterback in the NFL. And 3 times he's been a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. And I think right now he's a top 7 or 8 quarterback in the NFL. And I just don't think he's discussed in that manner. I don't think he's put in that discussion. Right? And last season, continuing with the stats, every quarterback in NFL history with a completion percentage above 70% and 40-plus passing touchdowns in a season. Baker joins Joe Burrow from this season, Aaron Rodgers in 2020, who won MVP, and Drew Brees in the historic season of 2011. Right? So Baker is one of 4 quarterbacks to have a completion percentage above 70 and 40-plus passing touchdowns. And despite that, you know, Baker Mayfield, he was not even in the discussion for MVP. I mean, so this is what we're talking about with underrated. Like, he was 11th in MVP voting, 11th in Offensive Player of the Year voting, right? Then you go to this stat. Quarterbacks with the most games with 250-plus passing yards and 3 touchdowns last season. Only Joe Burrow, who had 10, had more. And Joe Burrow, like, I think he set a record for this stat. Or if not, it was him and Tom Brady from 2007. Baker Mayfield had 7 of those games, more than Lamar Jackson, right? Then next, you've got the highest completion percentage in the red zone, where Baker Mayfield was the best in the NFL, higher than Lamar Jackson, led the NFL 72.6%, completing his passes in the hardest area of the field to complete passes, right? So Baker Mayfield across the board last year was excellent. Across the board, he dominated. And I just don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves. And I'm willing to give it to him. On top of that, not only did he statistically produce, but he did it without players around him. Mike Evans was out for 3 games last year. Chris Godwin missed 9 or 10 games last year with that injury that he sustained, right? Chris Godwin was leading the NFL in receptions. He went down and Baker Mayfield continued to shine without him, guys. This guy went to Arrowhead, the AFC champion, took that team to the brink, right? Took them to the edge, took them to overtime with Sterling Shepard as his number 1 receiver. He had Cade Otton, his starting tight end, also missing for 3 games. Not a good defense. The Buccaneers defense was not good, right? They were a bottom 10 defense by minimum in the NFL last year. And last year was not the only year. The guy that leads the NFL in passing touchdowns the last 2 seasons is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield leads the NFL in touchdowns since 2023. And it's not just the regular season. We're going to pull up these playoff stats, and I'm sure this is going to be, outside of Bucs fans, a pretty kind of crazy realization. But you look at Baker Mayfield. You see the gold, guys? You see the gold? This is career totals indicate an all-time record. Baker Mayfield has the highest career passer rating in playoff history. And I realize he's only played 5 games. But that's pretty ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous. And he also, not only does he lead in passer rating, but also touchdown percentage at 7.2. Last year, he led the playoffs. He only played 1 game. He had the highest completion percentage, the highest touchdown percentage, the highest yards per attempt, the highest passer rating, 146. They lost the game. What does that speak to? He was 15 for 18 in the game for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And if they don't fumble the ball, I highly likely think they win that game against a steaming Jaden Daniels, who is really getting discussed in the manner that Baker should be discussed. Because if you were to look back at the regular season last year, Baker was the better player than Jaden Daniels. I don't think that's much of a discussion. We could compare them statistically. In 2023, Baker led the playoffs in touchdowns, also interceptions. He had 2, but he had 6 touchdowns. He had 686 yards. That's 343 yards per game. He was also sacked the most and had 106 passer rating. That was against Detroit, right? That was against Philadelphia that year. He put up 6 touchdowns in 2 games. That's 3 touchdowns per game for people that can't do math. And he had over 300 yards per game in those 2 games. He was lighting the skies. In the playoffs for Cleveland, he actually played really well in that Pittsburgh game, if you might recall. Like, he put up points. And that was without Stefanski on the sidelines, if I'm not mistaken. He had to call the game from his basement or something like that. So Baker Mayfield has done it on Tampa in the playoffs, has done it in the regular season in Tampa, has done it in the postseason with Cleveland, has done it in the regular season with Cleveland. He had 2020 and 2020 or 2021 and 2022 where he failed in Carolina and it wasn't great in Cleveland. He's had down moments, right? He is not an elite player, right? But he's a damn good one and he's super underrated, right? And I just think that I needed to make this video because I like talking about players that deserve more recognition. I like talking about players that deserve more love, right? Deserve more appreciation. I think Baker is one of the best passers in the NFL. I think he's got one of the most underrated arms in the NFL. I think he is sneakily, he put on a show last year. Like, one of the best plays I saw all year was on a 4th down with the game on the line, shoving Nick Bosa off of him and finding a target downfield for a 1st down. Like, Baker extended plays better than I've ever seen him do it at the NFL level last year. He was a historically good college quarterback. Like, I think actually ESPN ranked him as the best college quarterback of all time, whether you agree with that or not. I don't think. But he was amazing in college too. And there's a reason he was a first overall pick, right? And he has taken that Tom Brady era Tampa team that not everybody could have taken and has made it his own and has continued the success. Right? And maybe not to quite the same degree, but to follow up the greatest of all time. We've seen the Patriots struggle post Tom Brady. Baker Mayfield has shined. Baker Mayfield has been a back-to-back Pro Bowler. Baker Mayfield has gone from very good in 2023 to excellent elite in 2024. And I think he's also the most underpaid quarterback in the NFL. He's definitely. I mean, I could look that up for you guys right now. Let me know in the comments, guys, an underappreciated player in the comments. Let me know a player that you think is not getting the recognition that he deserves. All right, let's take a look at these contracts just to finish off the video, bro. Baker Mayfield is making $33 million a year. And like I said, last year he was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's making less than Derek Carr and Sam Darnold. He's making less than Kirk Cousins and Deshaun Watson, the man that replaced him in Cleveland, right? He's making less than Kyler Murray, he's definitively better than. I'd say he's better than Jalen Hurts. I'd say he's better than Jared Goff even. I'd say he's better than Tua without a doubt, better than Trevor Lawrence without a doubt, better than Jordan Love without a doubt, and he's probably better than Dak Prescott. For a veteran quarterback, Baker Mayfield is the most underpaid player in the NFL. Because you look below him, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, right? Caleb's a rookie contract, Bryce Young, Jaden Daniels rookie contract, CJ Stroud rookie contract, Drake May rookie contract. All the guys below him that are veterans are nowhere near as good as him. He's the most underpaid, underappreciated, underrated NFL player, Baker Mayfield. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. It's Mitch. We'll see you next time, jabronis. Peace.